Hello and welcome to the incredibly influential and highly successful podcast. I'm incredibly influential.
And I'm highly successful.
It is Mother's Day, May 8th, 2022, as we're recording this. Happy Mother's Day. Um,
Yes. Happy
I just
Mother's
wanted
Day.
I just want to dedicate this episode to my co-host being an absolute penis and dedicating the last episode to single mothers so that way now we can't dedicate it to mothers this week because then it's just a repeat. So you're fucking donut, Trey. I hate you so much.
Well,
Anywho,
I did not have the foresight to think about that. I was just, I think mothers are cool. Why can't we just always dedicate it to mothers? Mothers they're
because
pretty
what
great.
about dads? What about dads?
Well, how's your relationship with your father?
I don't know. I'm probably gonna go see him soon. I guess. I don't know.
Well,
Probably this summer at least.
mine's like the least of a relationship. And my grandfather, I also have a really bad relationship with. So fathers haven't been very great to me, but mothers, they're all right,
You're you're going to be a father here in the next few years, I'm sure.
I'm
Dude, you got
trying
to
my
think about
best
that.
to avoid that for as long as possible, if not forever, really. Um, but yeah, that's definitely on
You're
the
the only one
avoid
here in a
list.
stable relationship, my man. If anyone's going to be a
Amen.
father soon, I hope it's you. I hope it's
I
not me
I
because
I
that
hope
would be
it's not
bad.
me. I would bet against me if it was you or me, really.
Oh Christ.
Because let me tell you,
Uh
I know many, many people from high school and like after high school, whenever I was like on social media, they don't know people for any amount of time and then they get pregnant, right? So you're
mhm.
just as likely, if not more likely.
Yeah, what would no, or no, but think about it though. Illinois is going to protect abortion rights. Texas isn't. You're fucked. So I think I'm gonna come out on top here.
Again, it's the woman's decision, so you could just be trapped if you don't be careful, sir.
Oh yeah, only fools don't wrap their tools, and that's a that is a uh you can quote us on that. Only fools don't wrap their tools.
Yes, and
Go
we
buy
are
some
not fools.
condoms. Yeah,
Yes.
stock up on condoms because the Supreme Court's gonna outlaw buying them. So yeah, go do that. Anywho, Daniel San, I heard you went
Yes.
and watched Multiverse of Madness. How do you feel about it?
Well, I feel like following like the Spider-Man movie, there was lots of hope and lots of like things that I wanted to see from this movie. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that kind of made me a little disappointed because maybe I hyped myself a little too much
Mm-hmm.
that I would see a lot more in this movie. Because I know that for the Spider-Man movie, they kind of advertise like, "Oh, don't get excited,"
Yeah.
because you'll be disappointed, right?
And then
And
in this one, they
it,
kind of
they
did
did
the
the
opposite.
opposite almost, yeah, right. And we got real excited, and then we were disappointed. So
I mean,
I there was a
were
couple good
you
moments.
disappointed? Were you disappointed at all?
I I just I just wanted more. You know what I mean? I feel like they didn't do as much as they could with the whole multiverse like concept that they're trying to introduce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of hoping they would do more, like just kind of set up stuff in the future.
Yeah.
But all the stuff they did in the universe they went to kind of was inconsequential by the end.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hopefully in the future here we get to see more multiversal stuff, but so far they didn't really give us a lot to they give us a lot to think about.
Yeah. Um. Do we want to declare the spoilers alert now?
Yeah, if we want to get into the specifics, I guess this is the time when you probably should go watch the movie, guys.
Yeah. Yeah. If you gotta put us on pause to go buy tickets, go watch the movie. Honestly, you know what? We don't mind. It's okay as long as you come back and finish, of course. Um, but yeah, I think spoiler alert from now until the rest of the podcast. Uh, I think I think I went into it. I actually spoiled itself a couple. I spoiled it for myself a couple hours before I went in and watched it. Um, it was about what I expected. I didn't. All right, I'll tell you my biggest thing that I wasn't expecting. I didn't expect to see um Jim from The Office or
Okay, they did cast him as Reed Richards, which I thought was like crazy because
yeah, but I didn't think he
I'm
would
not
show
sure
up in
about.
this movie.
But that's the thing, right? Like, do you think that he will actually be a recurring character and they'll actually
He's
do the Fantastic Four,
he's getting his
or
own movie. Yes, yes, the
he
Fantastic
actually
Four
is?
are getting their
They
own movie.
are.
Yes,
I
it's
I'm
confirmed.
just the reason that I thought it was just like a one-time cameo is because they're in a universe where almost every single character that we know is played by somebody else, you know?
No,
But
because Maria
I some
Rambeau, same actress. Peggy Carter, same actress.
well, the
Black
point is
Bolt,
though,
same
like
actor.
I'm saying like they changed Captain Marvel, they changed Captain America. I'm just saying
They
it could have just been
changed
a
the
one-off
people.
cameo,
They
right?
changed the humans, like the actual human being
Yeah,
who
that's
who
what I
got
meant.
the
Like,
powers. But
yeah.
he's still Reed Richards. Yeah, the
Okay,
same people
well,
are the same people.
but I'm not sure about you, right? But that was like a big moment in the theater. People were getting real excited about that. Like I
Hmm.
said, I thought it was cool. I like John Krasinski, right? I
I
feel
think it
like people
was.
like him a little too much, though.
I
He
don't
only
think
had
he's a
one
good
good role.
cast. I don't think he's a good cast for uh Mr. Fantastic.
I think he's all right. Who
I
would
think
you
him
rather
and
see?
Emily Blunt have very good chemistry because they're married in real life, and they've
Hmm.
made good movies, working together.
Hmm.
But I think, honestly, the guy who they got to play Black Bolt, Anson Mount, he's in Star Trek Discovery
Uh,
and Star Trek, whatever the fucking new one is. Um, uh, yeah, the guy who they got to play Black Bolt, he would do a very good job. But they got him to play Black Bolt in that really, really terrible Inhumans show. Can I go on a rant on how bad the Inhumans show is? Just real quick.
okay, can you tell me and the audience what the Inhuman show is?
So Inhumans was is a set of characters in the Marvel universe um that live on the moon, and they're like mutants, but instead of getting them at puberty, getting their powers at puberty or being born with them, they get them from being exposed to a chemical compound called terrigen. And the Inhumans are led by a being named Black Kagar Boltagan, aka Black Bolt,
Hmm.
uh, as depicted by Anson Mount. His abilities are he's like Black Canary on extreme steroids, and he can't control it. So if he just whispers, you will be ripped apart at an atomic level. His wife is called Medusa. She can like fight with her hair, like she can control her hair, and she has like
Hmm.
a ton of it. And there are some other various characters, and they live on the moon, and they guard the Terrigen. There was a plot about them in Agents of Shield, and I believe kind of the fish out of water character Sky was exposed to the Terrigen, and she turned out to be an Inhuman and got like vibration earthquake powers, and she's called Quake.
Hmm.
Um, so that was a minor plot point, and then a spin-off of Agents of Shield was Inhumans, where that kind of focus on Black Bolt and Medusa and the main villain, who is Black Bolt's brother. And the main failure of that show, other than it looks cheap and all the characters are unlikable and the directors were really bad, is basically the villain is right like the whole time. He doesn't have any powers. They expose him to the Terrigen Mist, he gets nothing. So he kind of gets to hang out with the king. But the rest of the mutant or the rest of the Inhumans that don't have cool powers are kind of relegated to be like a second class citizen. And his whole thing is like, oh, revolution, we're gonna make everyone equal. And he gets like locked up for it. Or killed, maybe? I don't remember. It was a terrible show though. So I cannot tell you how utterly satisfying it was when Wanda popped his head like crushing an egg in your hand. It was amazing. Oh my god, it was the most satisfying thing in the world.
Yeah, like I that is another thing I thought that
No, go ahead. I
I
was just
I really liked
sorry.
in this movie that was a little shocking, right? Was the fact that they didn't care how like gory and like gruesome Wanda was in this. I feel like they really made her character very believable, you know?
Oh yeah,
And they
she's a
didn't
horror
pull
movie
any
villain in
punches.
this.
I think I really like it. I think some people might not, but I think it was a very good choice for her character. I also like how with this whole multiversal stuff that they have been they're trying to introduce that there's not
Mhm.
really any consequences for killing like five heroes in the same scene because you
Mhm.
could just go to a different universe and get the same heroes again, right? And you kind of see
Theoretically.
that during that one scene where she does like kill everybody pretty much.
Yeah. That was so satisfying to see though cuz we haven't seen an MCU property technically get that gory since the Netflix shows. And my god, just watching her just find to like go in and kill all those Ultron robots and then kill all the Avengers members or the Illuminati members just so easily. It was really really great. And like, oh my god, she snapped Patty Stewart's neck. Sir Patrick Stewart's neck. Crunch, dead. It was insane. Sam Raimi is just fucking insane. And
Yeah, I I think that
yeah,
he did a good job. He did a good job. Like I said, I think that that point in the movie was probably like the high point, and I wish that they would have done like a little bit less time in that universe, and we could have saw like some more universes, right? And had some
yeah,
more of those moments. That's kind of what I was meaning whenever I said I was a little disappointed. I feel like they only went to that one universe, right? I kind of wanted to see a little bit more. Well, they
yeah,
did go to a couple other universes, right? But the one that other one they went to was like vacant and didn't have anybody in it. Um,
yeah. I will say, can I say my one big disappointment with the movie?
yeah, sure.
Um, I thought there would be more tie-ins to What If. There was
Yeah,
obviously the
I.
big one
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
Captain Carter,
Hmm.
that was the big one. But uh I thought that Zombie Strange was going to be, you know, Zombie Strange the uh, from the zombies universe in What If, and I thought that the evil Doctor Strange was going to be the
Strange Supreme.
yes, that's what I
Yes.
thought. Because
Yeah.
he was in a doomed universe.
Hmm.
I was like, well, this is technically not what it is, but maybe they went to the universe where Super Ultron, remember, and maybe he's just chilling there, and they've gone to go see him and maybe go get help from him. That's what I thought when I saw him in the trailer, but no, he's just a different Strange that fucked up his universe. So
Yeah, like that is something I wanted to I wanted more tie-ins with What If. Also, I kind of wanted to see like if there was going to be any payoff for like the Loki show. That was going to be some sort of like reference or tie-in. But Loki's still, who knows where. Um
yeah,
yeah, but there
yeah,
was so much they could have done with like the What If stuff. Like I said, even if it was like a small like 30-second little reference or something like that, like I feel like they could have added a little bit more references to the shows.
yeah. I would have liked to have seen that, but you know what? With considering what we got, I'm pleased as punch to call this movie a what would you say? Before I give my rating.
Like, I think that it's like an 8.5, 9. I feel like it's obviously 10 is like really good. Probably 8.5. Because I
Ooh,
feel
that
like
is actually a little. I was just gonna go an 8 or a seven and
yeah.
a half.
Actually, maybe 8, 8.5. That's probably a little bit better instead of 8.5, 9, 8, 8.5. Somewhere like I said, around that same area. I feel like obviously there was a lot that I wanted to see, but I can't knock it for what it is, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a good place to be, right?
Yeah,
I
I
just
thought
hope
it would be.
that we get those things that we're asking for. Hopefully, in a future movie, maybe it's another Doctor Strange movie or whatever, right?
Yeah. Can
I
I
I
tell
don't
you?
really. What's that?
No, go ahead. I have a point, but I'm trying to think about like how to articulate it. So you go ahead, and I'll think about it.
I don't really know where the this next phase of the MCU is planning on going. I'm assuming they're gonna try to do more, with this whole multiversal theme idea, right? But
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how other characters besides Doctor Strange are gonna get roped into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know there's a new Thor movie coming out. I know there's gonna be a Guardians of the Galaxy movie maybe coming like in the next couple years, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to imagine how they're gonna continue this whole multiversal theme with those characters, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
can't really see it yet. So I'm really hoping that it turns out as good as I'm hoping,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm really not sure how confident I am quite yet. I also don't know who the big bad is, you know?
Uh, Kang. It's gonna be Kang.
You think it's gonna be King? You're
It
probably
is.
right.
It is definitely Kang.
It probably is King, but again, like I said, I wanted a little bit more in there to kind of hint at future stuff, And maybe there is
Yeah.
that I just didn't notice, but
Yeah. My one thing about Kang and Phase 4 so far is I don't know how they're going to make it relevant to the Avengers at all. Because who is left in the Avengers, right? Because
I think
I'm not
there's
sure
Thor and I
if
think there's Hulk, and I think that those are there's Hawkeye as well. Thor, Hulk, and
well
Hawkeye I think are the only
well
ones that are
remember
left.
Captain America. Captain America.
Well, he's like old and like shriveled up
No,
though
Captain
now.
America, the new one,
Oh, okay, you're talking about the
Falcon.
new. I go
Captain
ahead.
America
Okay,
and the
well,
Winter
of
Soldier.
the original people, right?
Well, no,
Like if we're
I'm not
not
even talking about
counting,
the originals. I'm not even talking about like the originals. I'm talking about like the actual ones on Earth right now. How are they going to make it relevant to Falcon, Winter Soldier? I guess Spider-Man is still an Avenger. They don't remember that he's Peter Parker, but he's still, I guess, maybe an Avenger. I
it
don't
it
know.
does seem a little scattered, I have to say, because everybody's kind of doing their own thing now, right? There hasn't
Yeah,
been like a really like big event since the whole Thanos thing where everybody's kind of been united and together. They
yeah,
have Shang-Chi now, kind of just chilling in the background, doing who knows
yeah.
what.
Shang-Chi.
They have the
Maybe the
Eternals,
rings.
who knows where.
Yeah, maybe the rings will be relevant to whatever Kang's trying to do.
They keep
Um,
introducing like these characters that like get like really big wow moments, but we almost never see them again, right? We have
Blade.
like
Blade.
which one was Blade?
Blade was he's going to be played by Mahershala Ali. He was introduced in the post credit scene of Eternals.
Oh, is that Harry Styles? Is that his name?
No, no,
He's somebody else. He's Thanos' brother, I think is what he said.
is he Star Fox? I know his real name is Eros, but yeah, I don't remember his like actual name. But no,
Yeah,
Blade.
but like they
Blade the
introduced like
Vampire Hunter.
oh, okay, I totally know who you're talking about. You're talking about like that regular guy that doesn't really get an important scene until the very end.
No, that's Black Knight. I'm talking about the guy
Oh
who
my
talks to
gosh.
him. The guy off screen who talks to him. He's like, "Are you sure you're ready for that thing?" Yeah,
the
that's
the the
Blade.
point is, right, we're getting so many like tiny little like reveals and hints and like things that like we
Yeah,
don't see pay off for such a long time. And I feel like they're trying to set up this very elaborate plot, but they're taking so long to do it, you know?
yeah.
And I don't really see
I
it going
get that.
anywhere quite yet.
Well, remember how long the Infinity Saga took to get ready? Remember, because Iron Man 1 came out in 2008. Endgame came out in, what was
I think
that,
it was
2019?
2019. Yeah.
Yeah, 11 years. That's a long ass time. You know, we've had to wait for it a little bit. We've had to let it set up. But
Yeah. But like we had like some big events in between there, that were kind of to divert our attention from like the overarching thing, right? So far
yeah,
in this phase, we just have like lots of one-off stories. We haven't had that real big team up like there was in like
yeah.
the 2012 movie, or it was
And Age of
Ultron,
Ultron. Yeah,
right?
I guess
I'm waiting for
maybe
like
we
like, like I
don't
said,
see
that,
it
that
now.
Avengers moment, right? Where we
Yeah.
where we all team up.
Maybe we don't see it now. Maybe these things are kind of doing like a retroactive
Maybe
uh
they're trying to set up like a
thing.
like a new Avengers, because I know that with most of the original Avengers being gone, they're kind of doing like the new Avengers. They have the new Captain
Yes, the
America.
Young Avengers.
Uh, they have Smart Hulk, who I don't know what Smart Hulk's up to. They're gonna
Yeah,
revamp
Professor Hulk.
Thor in the new movie.
Mhm.
Um,
He lost
they
all his weight.
they're gonna get a female Thor, I guess.
Jane
What's her name?
Foster.
Yeah,
Jane
Jane
Foster.
Foster.
That's from the comics. Yep.
They
That's a
have
thing.
the thing is like there's always been like the main Avengers and then like the side characters, right? And I'm
Yeah.
wondering if they're gonna do like that sort of thing in this new coming up stuff that they're releasing, right?
Mhm.
Or if the new Avengers are gonna be like a much larger group, right? Because the
Well,
original
I think
Avengers were just the people from the 2012 one, right?
yeah.
And then in like the 2019 version of Avengers, right? You see that there's tons and tons of new people, right? Are we gonna get
Yes.
that original team that we had in 2012, but with just new people? Or are we gonna is it gonna kind of follow that theme of just so many people we can't count them all?
I think the way it's going to work is right now they're introducing a lot of MacGuffins and stuff. You know
Hmm.
how it is. I think I'm gonna predict what kind of brings it all together, right? I
Okay.
think they're going to start a new Illuminati as
Okay.
they're kind of introducing things. I think Doctor Strange is going to be in it.
Hmm.
I think Captain Marvel may or may not. I don't know if they've procured the rights to Namor, but it would be really cool to see him in there.
Hmm. Do you think
Um,
that well, I know we were gonna talk about this. I haven't watched the new episode of Moon Knight, but do you think he'll have a main presence in movies?
no,
In
no,
No, you think he'll just be
I
a,
think
a
he's
show?
done.
You think
Moon
that
Knight isn't usually one of those guys who shows up for the Marvel team ups. He's usually more relegated to solo content.
what do you think about
Um,
like Loki? Do you think he'll ever have like a big movie moment anymore, or do you think he's confined to his little show?
we may or may not see him. I wasn't confident that they would talk so much about WandaVision, but they even included the WandaVision theme song in it. Um,
Well, I feel like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier were setting up those characters for the movies, whereas Loki and Moon Knight were kind of just doing like deep dives into these characters like side stories, right?
maybe, but I
I
think they
think
wouldn't.
that's kind of the
They wouldn't.
difference.
I think Kang. I think when we do finally get Kang's story in Ant-Man and the Wasp, maybe, or Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is going to have Kang be the main villain. All right.
Okay.
I think I have a pitch going. I think I have a pitch going for what might be um like the first kind of Avengers level threat. Okay,
Okay.
uh, I've been rolling it around in my head, but I think so. You know how the Tesseract was like the main MacGuffin of Avengers 2012.
Yeah, yeah, that was like the original Avengers. It was Loki, and then it was the
Yeah.
army. I can't remember the army's name right now.
So remember how they kind of went back and they took things from various uh, movies and kind of brought it into the new plot. So they took the MacGuffin from Captain America and the villain from Thor,
Hmm.
and they kind of brought it together.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the I think one of the main catalysts for the plot is going to be America Chavez. I think she has been
Like
brought
I
in.
I do think that she is gonna be recurring, especially since at the end of the movie she stays around in the Universe 616, right?
Yeah, at Camertage.
Right.
What
I
sucks is that this isn't Universe 616. This is Universe 19999. Uh,
uh
616 is the main comics continuity. So this isn't Earth 616, which is
but
really annoying.
they do call it Earth 616 though.
I know, which is really irritating because the way the canon used to be laid out was that the film continuity was Earth 19999,
Okay,
which is
well,
very
mm,
irritating to me. But
it
whatever.
is a little. It does seem a little silly because
Yeah.
the only reason I know what 616 is because I think one day I was looking something up and I think I saw Spider-Man 616 because that's how he's
Yeah.
labeled on the Wikipedia. He's labeled by his universe.
Yeah. Exactly. That makes sense because, there's
Oh,
multiple
speaking
universes.
about Spider-Man, there's also like the Venom plot line that they still have sitting there in the background as well,
Yeah.
with the symbiote being left in
Yeah.
just a random bar.
But all right, so I think all right, but back to my main thing here, right? So now Kang has gotten into the multiverse.
Hmm.
I think he I think maybe he powers his machine with maybe those like multiverse traveling people. I reckon America Chavez is not the only person who can do it. And I think maybe he gets his power from like, taking those kinds of people. So now that he's here, he's going to want to power up his machine by killing America Chavez and harnessing her powers, same way Wanda did.
Hmm.
So I think he's gonna try and do that. Uh, and I
I'm
think
still not sure why America Chavez is so important. Like, why does she have this power? Because I know it kind of showed a little bit of the backstory, but in the backstory, she already had the power, right? Is it
I
something that she
think
was
she's a
like just
mutant.
born with, or
I think maybe she might get her own movie, or maybe it'll get
also
fleshed out.
she's the only one? She's the only person in all of the universes, right? Because she says she doesn't have a multiversal counterpart, right?
Yes.
So she's a very special exception to like most of these multiversal rules, and they don't really
Mm-hmm.
elaborate on why or how.
Yeah. All right. Well, the problem with that is in the Loki show, we did figure out that Kang was able to breach into multiverses with like, or sorry, Nate Richards was able to go into other universes and find alternate versions of himself. And he
Okay,
didn't
well,
need America Chavez's power, and
okay.
there's also multiple of him. I was
See,
going to say maybe America Chavez was like maybe she came from like the future of one dimension where that was how Kang traveled through universes, but
mhm.
I don't know, maybe. But like,
And see that's another thing, right? Like we have like the multiversal stuff that we're getting into right now, right?
mm-hmm.
And we also have like the timeline stuff. Are those the same or are those different? Because those are both two concepts that have been introduced so far in like one in the show and one in like the Spider-Man movie here. And Are they gonna do both of them for this next like I guess like saga or whatever it is, right? Because they kind of explored the timeline stuff a little bit in Endgame, I remember, right?
Yeah,
And then they explored it more in Loki, and now they're doing multiversal stuff, right? So we're gonna see more of the timelines where we're jumping between timelines. Are we gonna do
I
more
think
of the
so.
multiverse
I
stuff?
think that is correct.
I feel
Be-
like, like there is the stakes are kind of non-existent right now just because of how much like control they have over both time and the universes, right?
well, remember the Infinity Stones are gone, so there's no like reversing time or anything like that.
Well, no, but there's still other ways, I'm sure. They're gonna kind of find out, aren't they? Because they
They
didn't need the
can
stones the first times, right? Whenever they went back in
no,
time, right?
no, they can travel through the quantum realm.
Hmm.
Ooh, you know what? I think they're going into the. I think in the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, in Quantumania, I think they're going to the future and they're going to find Nate Richards, and then that's going to tie back into Fantastic Four because I think that's the movie coming out after Quantumania, or it's the
Wait,
one
who?
that comes out right before. Either way,
Which one is Nate Richards?
Nate Richards is Reed Richards' descendant from 1,000 years in the future.
Oh, so
Yes.
okay. Because I've never heard of Nate Richards before. I know Reed Richards, but I feel like Fantastic Four. I don't not too familiar with. Also the X-Men stuff because I know that they brought back Xavier. I think his name is right. I'm not too familiar
Yes.
with his
Yeah.
importance in the X-Men besides I guess his power he showed in the movie.
I mean,
But are we
I
gonna
think
get
he's gonna come
Deadpool in the
back.
universe? What do you think about
Yes, that
that?
is confirmed. That is
Confirmed.
absolutely confirmed. Yes.
Are they just gonna start reviving old characters too? Are we gonna get Robert Downey back in and all that? Or
No, but this is an alternate universe, so theoretically,
anything's
Logan never
possible, right?
died. Yeah, theoretically, Logan never died.
There's lots of opportunity for them to bring back like really like important characters or like fan favorite characters, right? Kind of like how they did with Reed Richards in this movie and with Xavier in this movie as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's many opportunities for these characters to just come back into the spotlight, right? Kind of like how the Spider-Man did after being retired for so long.
Yeah,
And I feel like the potential is there. I'm just wondering how they're going to capitalize on it or whether or not they're going to make full use of it. And I'm
I'm
excited
not
to see.
sure,
I really am.
but I think there is a lot of things that we need to pay attention for in this new saga. I think we're very, very early into it, and I think we need to remember that and keep an open mind because I don't think because let's see how many movies we are into it right now, right? We
There's
are.
a Far From Home, or is that still part of the Thanos stuff?
That
Because
is
that's
the
just
end of Phase 3. That is the
okay.
the
So that's
last
the
one in Phase
last.
3.
So Far From Home is the end, and then um,
Yeah,
I
including
forget.
Black Widow, we are 5 films in, right?
Are we including Black Widow? Because isn't that mostly
Yes,
just
technically it is.
it's mostly just
Weirdly,
backstory though, right?
yeah. But like, all right, if we were all right, so 5 films into Phase 1, they
I'm
had
pretty
just
sure
set up the
that was like what
Avengers.
Iron Man 2, Thor, Hulk, and
Captain America: The First Avenger.
Captain
So
America, right?
by the end of Captain America: The First Avenger, we knew okay, they have a team set. They have the Avengers set up, but what for? Like what's the plan here? So I think right now we know about as much as we did then, right? Because we didn't know that there would be sorcerers. We didn't know that Thanos would be there. We didn't know we'd be getting the Guardians of the Galaxy. We didn't know. We didn't know a lot of things then, and I think yes, we've gotten more TV, which is something, but I think maybe that TV is somewhat less connected from the films than it really needs to be because I do say that WandaVision was necessary viewing uh for Multiverse of Madness.
I understand like them not wanting to make the TV shows too important, right? Because then it makes the people that only watch the movies kind of turned off of the movies, right? They
Yes.
want to make like the shows aided to the movies, right? And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
after seeing the Multiverse of Madness, you can kind of just infer most of Wanda's motives within like the first couple minutes that they show her without
Yeah,
watching the
her
whole
dream kind of
show,
does that. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a good way to kind of like do it for the moviegoers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I watched the show and I feel like I got all the context, right?
Yes.
And I feel like it's been such a long time since I watched the show, but I I think I remember most of the important stuff. I kind of forget what happened to Vision, what that was all about.
He died.
What
There is a
was
White Vision though.
Yeah, that's the Vision I was talking about. Yeah,
Um,
because
he's somewhere.
there's also like that witch character who I think that Wanda just enchants, and then
Agatha
she's just
Harkness.
yeah
Yeah.
her. But
I think it
there's
would be
just
cool if they brought her back.
there's
Wouldn't that
just
be
so
cool?
many there's so many characters in so many places, right? There's
Yes.
always an opportunity for them to just be like, let me bring back this person or that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we never can truly know who they're going to try to bring back because they could bring back somebody from so many movies back now or so many shows back now.
Well, they did. They brought back Abomination in Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
Because
but
he's
he
gonna
didn't.
be in She-Hulk.
What was his role in Shang-Chi? Because I watched it
He
like
fought
twice.
Wong. He fought Wong at the arena.
Did he have any speaking lines at all?
No, but he will
Ah,
in the She-Hulk show. They have gotten Tim Roth for that show.
okay. Well, yeah, I look forward because things I used to like be real into like the comics whenever I was younger, right? Which
Yeah,
is why I remember so much, right?
yeah,
And I know Hulk is one of those characters they haven't really capitalized on. That there's still a lot of stuff they could do with, right? There's She-Hulk, there's Red Hulk, there's all those
yeah.
other people, right?
I think it was a rights issue. It was a big rights issue with Universal because
Oh,
yes, that's why
okay.
they weren't allowed to make any more solo Hulk movies. That's why we had to get Planet Hulk tied into Thor Ragnarok because I think they might still hold the solo rights to him. It's
Okay.
these franchise rights are very confusing. Um, and the way that kind of Marvel got screwed in the past. I don't know if you really know the whole story of why Marvel got so fucked up with the film rights and they had to like sell everything and then rebuy it all. But do you mind if I kind of enlighten you about that
Sure,
and
go
our
ahead.
audience? Um, so basically, back in the 80s and 90s, it was not cool to read comics anymore. It was
Hmm.
very, very, very lame. So Marvel was on the verge of bankruptcy. They sold the film rights to their characters in but like by character like or by characters or by comic series. So X-Men got sold to Fox, Spider-Man got sold to Sony,
Hmm.
Fantastic Four got sold to Sony as well. Maybe it wasn't Sony back then. Or no, it was Fox. It was Fox. So Fox made a movie just to hang on to the Fantastic Four rights back in the 80s. Or maybe it was the 90s. I don't remember. But it was terrible. And they didn't release it. They just had to make it so they could hold on to the rights. And then They made the X-Men movies. Um, oh, and Marvel obviously didn't have its own studios and wasn't purchased by Disney. Um, so they worked with Universal, and they gave Universal the rights to Hulk, and that's why if you go to Universal Studios in Orlando, the Hulk roller coaster is at Universal Studios and not at Disney. So
I never thought about that too much because I did go to Universal and I do remember the Hulk roller coaster, but I completely forgot that that was a Disney thing until you just mentioned that. But
yeah,
yeah, that is kind of a problem I'm noticing a lot, especially whenever they were trying to do the Spider-Man stuff. I remember there was a whole issue with them not doing their contract, and then everybody in the community yelling at Marvel and Sony,
yeah, I remember that
and then they
part.
had to renegotiate the contract just to make the fans happy, right? And I feel like
Yes,
us fans, we just want to watch the characters do their thing, right?
I don't think
And
they did renew the contract. Actually, I think
no,
they
no,
changed it.
no, they changed it. They didn't renew it. They reviewed the contract. They changed it
Yeah,
because I
I
think that I can't remember exactly how it was before.
it was developed by I think Columbia Pictures, which is the same people who makes the other non MCU Spider-Man movies. So Into the Spider Verse. Well, Sony Pictures Animation made Into the Spider Verse, but
Hmm.
Columbia made Venom, uh, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Venom 2, uh, fucking all the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Hmm.
So Columbia Pictures is the Spider-Man studio, and they made the first. I think they made Homecoming, and I know for a fact they made Far From Home. So I think No Way Home uh, uh, was specifically made by Marvel Studios. There is no Columbia Pictures logo at all. So I think they might have changed the contract on that. I remember they asked for something really insane to renew like when they wanted to change the contract initially. I remember Marvel wanted something absolutely like ridiculous, but I can't remember for the life of me what it is. And yeah, it was. I remember it was very weird. So everyone was like, "No, Marvel is clearly the bad guys in this situation."
Okay, well here's another thing, right? I'm not too familiar with this, so I'll ask you, right?
Hmm.
But after a certain amount of time, don't these characters aren't they supposed to go into like free use, like public domain, right? Well, because I know that like I've heard some talk about how companies will do like some sneaky tactics to kind of keep
Yes,
characters private, right? Kind of like I'm pretty sure Mickey Mouse is way older than the requirements for
yes, he
public
is.
domain,
Yes, he is.
right?
Yeah, that
But
is correct.
he's still not in the public domain because of X, Y, and Z, right? So how can companies just do that? Like what gives them the ability to just keep these characters despite the public domain laws, right?
So the way you get so the way something becomes public domain is it comes out of a uh, it comes out of either trademark, trademark. Oh my god, I keep saying it. Copyright, trademark, or patent. So
Okay.
patents are generally pretty slow to lapse. Or no. Sorry, copyrights are very slow to lapse. Patents are pretty. Uh, Patents usually only last about 20 years, and you can't really get a that many extensions on it. Trademarks I think are a little bit longer, but you can keep renewing them, and then copyright lasts pretty damn long because copyright is tied to an author and not a business. Copyright is tied to the art because copyright is for art. We have a copyright on this um, podcast, for example, right? Because we are creators. A
Hmm.
business would have something as a trademark because a trademark is a specific thing that helps you do your trade. So
Okay.
yeah, you kind of get what I mean.
But I'm trying to figure out like how it is they avoid getting into the public domain. Like what special things are they doing to keep these characters to themselves, right?
So the way a copyright works is uh, for works created after January 1st, 1978, which is not most of these characters. Spider-Man predates that, I can tell you. Iron Man predates that. Captain
Well, I
America
know, but
predates
like
that.
I know the one that the example I gave
Yeah,
was like Mickey Mouse, right? Mickey Mouse is like
yes. The life of the author plus 70 years is the most recent one because Disney particular has been pushing for that. Um,
okay.
uh,
So that's like I have heard that before. I heard that Life of the Author plus 70 years, right?
yes, and
And
before that it was before that the first term was 28 years.
28.
Yes, that was the first one.
So pretty much what it keeps happening is that
They
these
keep renewing it.
companies are making the period longer and longer and longer and longer. Is that kind of
Yeah. So the way copyright law worked back in the day was in 1909 you can get a you get your first term, which was 28 years, and then you renew it again, and then you get another 28 years, and then after that the first term was 47 years, and then in 1978 it was 56 years, and then because you get the first term of 28 plus the 28 after that, and then or no, sorry, it went from the 1909 rules, which was two 28-year terms, to the first term of 28 plus a renewal term of 67 years. So it has not been 95 years since Spider-Man was invented. So he will not be in the public domain. But then you
okay?
can also get extensions uh, in there. So that also throws a wrench in it. It's very complicated and it's very very annoying. It is extremely annoying to try and figure that out. You're better off leaving it to the experts and then checking the things that come out into the public domain every year. You're better off checking what's in the public domain than what isn't because copyright law is fucking annoying.
hmm Yeah, because
Yes,
I know that one of the most recent things that came into the public domain. It was a while ago at this point, but it was Pooh. It was Pooh, not Winnie the Pooh, because Winnie the Pooh has the red shirt, right? Just the one
yes.
without the red shirt specifically, which I thought was a little silly. I didn't realize there was a difference, but I guess there was a slight bit of a difference.
Is that true? It's
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only the one without the red shirt that you can technically use. The one with the red shirt, I think, is still technically in the public domain.
actually that is incorrect.
Or is it the opposite?
Winnie the Pooh, the character Winnie the Pooh, and uh yeah, the original stories and the original characters from the author's version of Winnie the Pooh are now in
hmm
public domain. So you can do anything you want with them now, pretty much. As long as you're not basing it off like the Disney adaptation of the characters, as long as you're basing it on the book, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. That's what I love about public domain, right? I love when authors leave like they leave they let their copyrights kind of go, and then you can take these characters, these public domain characters that nobody's doing anything with, and you can really make them your own, like
hmm
or when it's a really really old character and the author's dead and his like next generation is dead, and the generation after that doesn't really care because they're not really getting any royalties anymore. So then that lapses into public domain, and then you could really go nuts with it. Like you can make any kind of movie you want with like Dracula nowadays, and it like they're powerless to stop you. Your only limitation is budget, you know? Like, and that's not how it used to be back in the day, because one of the first big copyright issues was on was on a movie that was based on Dracula. Nosferatu was almost a lost film because Bram Stoker's estate was very, very upset that someone was making a book based on his shit that they did not approve of. So they had to rename it, and they renamed Dracula to Orlok and Vampire to Nosferatu, and then they
Yeah,
still tried to destroy
I
it,
feel
but they found it.
like I understand like wanting to like protect your character, and like make sure that the public doesn't have like a wrong idea of what that character is supposed to represent, right?
Yeah.
I get that part, but I do feel like it sometimes goes a little bit too far because I know that it's mostly fueled by money,
Hmm.
as is everything it seems like nowadays.
But all right, but now you are a copyright owner. You and I are own the copyright to this podcast. Do you think would you rather someone like do you want someone to take our name and make their own podcast doing the same intro we have?
Well,
No.
see, like that's what I'm saying, right? I feel like there is a point where it becomes justifiable, but there's also a point where I feel like it's not that bad, right? Because I'm sure I'm not sure if you know this, right? But I heard that
Hmm.
Nintendo was striking down an emulator that somebody made to emulate the N64 version of I think Smash or something like that, right?
Oh, that was years ago. I did a stream about that and about a different story about Nintendo
Right, and I feel
when
like
that happened.
they weren't trying to make money off of it, right? They were just trying to provide the game that wasn't available pretty much on any modern console onto computers, right? And I feel like for things like that, right? I don't really see as much of a problem because they're not tainting like the image of the game, right? They're just making it available to people who would not have access to it otherwise, right? But I
I
know
mean, yeah, I
Nintendo's real
guess.
strict with those things, right?
Nintendo is kind of the same as Disney in that they have a family friendly image that they want to keep, and they will put a gun to your head to make sure it stays that way. And
There was
yeah.
also the Mario Battle Royale, which I think was also free, which they struck down like very quickly after the Mario Battle Royale started. I think they had to like
Oh yeah,
completely
I'm
change the
sure.
theme of that to something
I'm
else.
I'm absolutely sure they would do that. Yeah. That
But it's
sounds
things like
exactly
that,
right.
like for example, right? If somebody were to take our name and like make like a fan art of it, right? They would be using our name, but obviously that wouldn't be worth striking them down, right? It's like I said, there's a that fine line between where it's like I think it's probably fine in between and then it's like completely unacceptable, right? Because if you're
There
just like
comes a point when
reselling games or you're reselling books or movies that aren't yours,
yeah.
that's obviously a problem, right? But if you're just like parodying it or if you're just like using those characters
Well,
like
all right. Parody and
well parody's slightly different, I know,
there's
but
free use. Fair use. Fair use is
fair
is
use and
is
free use
something
are
else.
slightly different, I know, right?
Well,
But
free use doesn't exist. Fair use is a
oh yes,
legal
fair
exemption
use.
from copyright enforcement. So fair use is like if someone wanted to take clips of this podcast and be like, uh, and like review it and be like, "Ha, that's not funny," you know, be very rude. Please don't do that. It would very much hurt my feelings. But we wouldn't be able to do anything to you as long
It'd
as you
be
didn't. Yeah,
yeah, you know what that I wouldn't mind seeing that, maybe if we get popular enough we can start reviewing some Reddit content or something.
that
It'll
would
be
be
real
funny.
great.
Like responding to people calling us not funny would be you know I would like to get to that point where
Yes,
we can make content that is people responding to our content. That is something.
yes, and
Uh,
then it just all becomes recycled. There you go.
yeah,
That's the way to do
there's an
it, you know.
there's an infinite cycle because then eventually people respond to the content that we're making, responding to people responding to our content, and then we can respond to that, and then it's just a huge vicious cycle. It's crazy. It's like Jack's films
You know what?
because he
Maybe
gets all of
you know.
his
I
content
know
from
we were
his
talking
comments.
about like I know we were talking about this earlier, right? In the first couple of episodes, right? Figuring out a way for them to interact with us. We have made a Twitter, and
Yes,
what else do we have now for them to look at?
that's
Or
it.
is it's just a Twitter? All right, guys. So if
We're
y'all,
working on an Instagram.
we're
One of us
working
was
on it.
going to make it. I think I told him to make it, and because I'm fucking lazy, and I did the Twitter. So, or I
Oh, no,
did some of the
no. Oh,
Twitter.
wait, I did the Twitter. I thought.
I did some of the Twitter. I I do. All right. So here's a quick peek behind the curtain. Here is that I do most of the uploading stuff, and I do most of the I did most of the setup for the RSS stuff. So like our RSS
Yes.
feed, our automatic distribution to iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, etc., etc., etc. I did most of that. I set most of that up. Uh, and I think he made the Twitter.
Hmm.
I think you did the audio editing on the first one. You kind of figured that
Yeah,
whole
and
thing out
then
because
yeah, we figured out the audio editing. Once we got
yeah,
that done, it's pretty easy for the rest of
yeah.
them.
Here's another smaller peek behind the curtain is we use Zencaster, right? It gave us two MP3s to work with, and I'm like, oh shit, how do we do this? So he figured out just how to fix them on top of each other. Luckily, we don't really leave a lot of dead air, so it there's not much audio editing that has to go into this. We mostly just take what we've recorded in 70 to 75 minutes, and we just mix it together so that way they you can hear both of us, and then we just upload it to RSS, schedule it for Tuesdays at 8 a.m. Central, and that's when it goes up.
Yeah,
You know,
but pretty much where I was going with the whole like where they can
yeah, yeah,
find this thing, right? Is maybe
mm-hmm.
we should make a Reddit. Maybe that could be like the next step, the next evolution, right?
Yeah. A subreddit for the podcast wouldn't go amiss. Actually, I think maybe we could do that. Do we want like our a Reddit account and then an r/IIHS podcast?
Mm,
Maybe.
well, we could just use one of our personal accounts, I guess.
Nah, my personal account's like a I don't I I don't want to brag about this because it makes me seem like a turbo version, but I have like close to 50,000 karma in I think less than 4 years. I think I made it in like 2018, so I think I'm coming up on year four. Yeah, I'm coming up on year four in November, and I have close to 50,000 karma. So I don't know if I wanna taint my account like that, but
Well, I have made one comment on like the Broadway musical subreddit asking for an illegal recording of a Broadway musical because I can't go to Broadway because I'm in Texas.
Trey,
Um,
why would you brag about that on this podcast? You fucking
but
idiot.
it's okay because I didn't watch it and I also don't have it anymore because it was very badly recorded. I
Oh
don't know
my
why I
god,
thought it would be a good recording.
you
They said I
fucking
have a
idiot.
recording and I was like,
You
I like
moron.
recordings.
You
Think about it
colossal
though.
donut.
How let's think about this, right? How that's another problem. They should record these musicals, you know. I can't be going out to New York every time a new show comes out, right? I'm in Texas. I'm
Just
like
see it off Broadway, dude.
that they like I
You're
don't
in like
know.
the fifth largest city in the United States, dude. They have an off Broadway thing there,
They do
bro.
have an off Broadway. They do, right? But it's like I get into shows that aren't usually ever on Broadway. And I'm very impatient. I don't want to wait for them to show some random show
Dude,
that I happen to be
get it?
interested in.
Dude, fucking get like me though, right? Right? Get like me because I'm into opera and there's
Mhm,
you have to wait years before they bring your favorite opera back into circulation, right? I've been
mhm.
waiting for Hoffman for a long ass time. I've been waiting for the Tales of Hoffman for a long ass time, and it has not come back into rotation, and it sucks. So get like me. Also,
But
I think
I have that like very very short attention span. I don't know if I can wait years and years and years. I usually get into something and I forget about it like a month later. So I just want to like see it when I want to, you know? That's kind
yeah,
of that's my thing, right? And there's
yeah.
like very very few, if any at all, like actual like Broadway like or like any shows like plays
Where
on
were we even going with
streaming
this?
services, right?
Where
I
were we going with this?
we were bragging about your Reddit karma, and I wanted to tell you
Oh
how
yeah.
little I I
Oh
had
yeah.
used Reddit. I only made one
Oh
comment
yeah.
ever. That's my only comment ever. All right,
All
so
right. All right,
you
that is
know,
fine. Okay.
but but I don't have it anymore. Try, you know, not no legal things happened.
All
It's
right.
fine.
Well,
It's all good.
we're kind of getting a little bit
Well,
later
okay.
in the
Do
episode.
do we want to talk about the Mother's Day part of this? Because I can't. We kind of skipped over it. Like, if are we gonna say anything about that? What did you do for Mother's Day, Nick? How about that's a good
Uh,
transition.
what did I do today? What did I do today? We went. I don't know. Mostly, I guess I streamed today for like 3 hours, but we went to a nice dinner. I had lobster tail. My mom had uh prime rib, and my stepmom had porterhouse. It was nice. It was a good dinner. We yeah we had some nice dinner. What did you do for Mother's Day? I know you kind of celebrated yesterday.
Yes, I celebrated yesterday. I went out to eat with my mom and my grandmother, my brother,
Mm-hmm.
and me and my brother's girlfriends. Right? We all went
Yes.
to Fuddruckers. Do you know what that is? Fuddruckers.
I have a story about Fuddruckers. Um,
Fuddruckers.
it involves my recently late grandmother, so I'll tell it another time. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, but
yeah.
it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. We just kind of hung out, we talked. I ended up getting both of them like a little like throw pillow sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend ended up getting both of them like flowers.
Oh, that's nice.
My brother, I think, got like perfume from my mom, and we all
Yeah.
signed like a really big card from my grandma. It was real nice. It was great. I sat around the
Mm-hmm.
table complaining about everybody else in my family and being like, "But y'all are great. You know, y'all are the light, the shining lights among the family, really." And
All right.
that's why we dedicate to mothers, because mothers, they're pretty great. You know, at least ours, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to moms. Moms are pretty
To
cool.
moms, yeah, moms are
Yeah,
pretty cool. But
yeah.
yeah, it was a nice time. You know, it was great. I yeah, I think it went all right. I
Oh yeah, we
I really
opened gifts last night. I forgot I was gonna say.
oh yeah, did you
Uh,
get any gifts for
I I I did. I'm a little bit more poor than you are because you actually work for a living, and I'm still kind of a full time student. So I got him candles. You know, it wasn't like
hey, you know, I know if I got my mom candles, she would have loved it. You know what I mean? Candles are a
yeah.
great thing.
It's the thought that counts. It's the thought that
I
counts.
I feel like if you find like something that your mom really likes, right? She doesn't matter what it is, she'll be like so thankful for it.
Yeah. Speaking
And
of
I
things that I'm thankful for,
yes.
uh, we should. I would be very thankful if we could. You know what time it is. It's
All,
big red
uh,
button time.
all right, guys. The final segment.
Oh yeah.
Nick has some good ones saved up, I'm sure. If he, you know, so just
Are there even segments to this madness? That's the real thing. We just kind of talk. We just kind of talk.
oh man, I just refreshed my tabs and I got a that video you linked me the other day just started playing. I forgot that it was there.
Oh Jesus. All right. What are we thinking here?
What
What are
is
we
this
thinking here? What are we thinking
Midden
here?
Squad? Shout out Midden
Yeah.
Squad.
Yeah. Shout out to Mitten Squad. Shout out to Mom's Mitten Squad, Moon Knight, Multiverse of Madness. We're on the M theme today. All right. Anyhow, let's do a
Yeah.
short one. Let's do a short one. Let's do a short one.
All
I have
right.
a really good one that I've been saving up since like I first decided to do this. All right.
Okay.
Um, You get all the costs of living covered for the rest of your life, but you have to live with a roommate who has a woman over whenever you're trying to sleep, and they are not quiet. They are going at it. It is loud. You can hear it from anywhere in the house. And it is just loud enough to where you know you won't be able to sleep, and they are just going at it the whole time
Well,
whenever you try to sleep
let me tell
or
you,
get something
right?
done.
I wish you would have gone into more detail on that first part, right? Because I feel like
Like you
made
never have to work again.
you
You
really
never have to
sold the
like
bad parts, right? But I feel like let's talk about the good parts of this,
all
right?
right. So like
So all living is like is covered, right? But is
yes.
this like minimum requirements, or is it like you could have whatever you want, like a mansion, like what are we talking about here, right? Because in
I think
theory, if we're talking about like you can have pretty much everything that you want, like financially, right, in your living situation,
well, I think
you
the
could just
larger
have.
you decide to go, the louder and more excessive the roommate is,
Oh,
right?
so
Because
it's
like
like a scale, right? It's like, oh, you could be really poor and like it wouldn't be quite as bad, or you could be
it
really.
would just be, bed springs and some light vocalizations. But if you pick mansion size, you
uh,
can there's like
yeah,
screaming.
they're on the
It
right side
is
of the mansion. I'm on the left. The echoes through the halls,
yes.
you know.
Like if you were sitting in the west, if you were sitting in the Oval Office of the White House, you could hear them all the way from the East Wing, like all the way across.
You
Like
know,
that's how loud they are.
I this is a very interesting question. I don't I don't know how to. I've never been in a situation like this. I've heard about people in situations like this, but I can't imagine. Like,
I've
I'm a,
I've never been in a real situation like this. When I had roommates, thankfully, there was like rules in place where we couldn't bring girls over. So thankfully they didn't.
well,
Uh,
like let me
yeah.
tell you like the stories that I've heard, right? I have a friend, right? Um
Hmm.
and since she's been in college, she's like in a dorm with
Yes.
three other girls, right?
Yes.
She's straight and I think one other girl is straight, but the other two, are I think either bi or lesbian, right? And
Yes.
she's told me like it's gotten really annoying with them whenever they bring over girls.
Hmm.
So she knows firsthand, and she definitely talks very bad about it, right?
Yeah. I,
I
I don't mean to hate on you girls. I don't mean to make y'all feel bad about it because A, it's not your fault, and B, I mean, I ain't gonna go complain about it. But women are definitely the more vocal sex during sex. You know,
yeah, yeah. Like
most definitely.
to be honest with you, right? I feel as though like the benefits are just too good to pass up, right? And I
Yeah,
feel like the downside isn't the worst thing in the world, right? It's not like
but
that bad.
but
It'll constantly be annoying, right? But I feel like if you could just have whatever you want, right?
yeah.
As long as you don't as long as you're not sleeping, all your waking hours are fine, right?
Well, it's not like whatever you want. It's not like whatever you want, but it is
Like reword it to
like
me.
your
Or
basics.
say it again.
All right, you you live in a house for free. Your
Okay.
meals are covered. They're not like exactly what you want. You're not eating like prime rib and escargot every fucking night, but you've got like
Okay.
decent food for the rest of your life. Um, uh, but if you want like extra spending cash, you got to go to work. And so anytime you're either sleeping or trying to get something done around the house, they're going at it like bunnies, and you can hear it from anywhere in the house, and it is just loud enough to keep you from being able to either focus or fall asleep.
Look. Like obviously This would be terrible. I hate this, right?
And all right.
But
I'll add an
at the
extra
same time,
stipulation.
okay,
I'll add an
okay.
extra stipulation. Every time you try and think and focus on something, even when you're outside of the house, you get memories of that happening
Okay, all
and
right.
you
Let's
can't
not.
focus.
That seems a little excessive. Okay, it's like it's like you move to a different country, but the memories haunt you. No, no, no. We're not gonna.
No, you still have to live in that house, but
No, the
you never have to work again. You would never
okay.
have to work again
I think
unless
that
you
there
wanted
are
more
a
spending
couple
cash.
of like stipulations that are unspecified here, which I feel like could make this a tiny bit better, right?
Yeah.
If we're looking at it just the way you said it the first time, right? It seems like at any point you really could just ditch this free house. And if that's an option, I say, why wouldn't you say yes, right? Because
All
then
right,
if you
but what if
ever
it's
really
like
hate it, you
pandemic?
just ditch,
What if,
right?
COVID comes back and you're quarantined back in the house? What if you're quarantined back in the house?
Look,
That is the thing to think about.
look. I understand it, right? I understand it. It's like I said, it's hard to imagine like the downside just because I don't know how how bad it would be. You say it's bad, but
Like you get to live in relative comfort. You don't get like all of your immediate necessary needs to living are taken care of. You
okay,
know,
wait. So read just the consequence part word for word from whatever you're looking at. Word for word.
so word for word.
Word for word, not your interpretation. Word for word.
All right, so the way I wrote it down is the way I wrote it down is a little bit abbreviated. So you have to live with a roommate who has a woman over whenever you're trying to sleep or focus, and they are not quiet.
Okay.
Not in all capital letters.
You see, I have to say, right, like it almost is is fine if he didn't have the focus part there, right? Because if it was just sleeping, then it's fine. You're fine like what, like 14, 16 hours of the day, right?
Hmm.
And
Well,
realistically,
no. Whenever you try to sleep. So if you try and sleep during the day, boom, they get a woman. It
so
is literally every single time. No matter what time of day, no matter what day of the week, whenever you try and sleep. I
you
know it's
know,
tough, right?
it's one of those situations where like I think it's just bad enough to like to say no to, right?
Hmm.
Like it's so close to being like bearable, but if I can't
Yeah.
focus, that's whenever it's like just a little too much for me, right? If it was just sleep, I would be like, "Oh, that's fine," I would deal with it.
Okay. But
But
what all right. Now to close out the episode, how much money like you already get your basic cost of living covered. How much allowance money would it take for you to want to put up with that?
uh,
If if you got like a weekly stipend, how much would it take?
a weekly stipend.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like money definitely helps for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have to be like pretty considerable. That way, I could buy whatever I want, um, and not really have to worry too much, right?
All right. That does
I
make
feel
sense.
well, how about I ask you? How do you have an idea? Because you haven't answered yet, right?
I would say just because we're kind of running a little bit late on the episode, I I've never been in the situation where um I'm not used to being in like a living situation that small to where that's happened to me before, and because I've been an only child, it's been a lot easier for my parents to kind of been like, okay, he's asleep. Now we can get down to business. So I've never really experienced that. Um,
Hmm.
so like you know, shout out to especially my mom's because I think I've spent more time living with them, but also shout out to dad too, um, for you know managing that and not traumatizing me.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, shout out to that. Uh, so I don't really have experience with that, so I couldn't really give you an accurate answer.
Well, I don't have experience either, but you got to answer the question, Nick. You got to answer me.
I think given that uh given you're like in the house, um like given that you don't have to work, you're going to be spending a lot of time at the house, so that is going to suck. um and it's like imagine if it's like whenever you get on a phone call, oh that would be terrible, that would be awful. So I think that would be I think it would be too much. I wouldn't be able to do it. No, you're right. um yeah, you're right.
Okay,
But
well, what's the amount though? The dollar amount?
oof, I don't know, because sleep deprivation can hit you pretty hard. I've not gone more than like 1 or 2 or 3 days without it. I imagine like in a week without sleep, you would get really fucked up. So I can't tell you the exact amount that I would be willing to sacrifice my health for that because I've never had that much experience. I think it would be pretty hefty because what are there, 52 weeks in a year? I think maybe like $4,000 to $5,000 a week because you could literally die from you know not being able to sleep. So
See, I
that
was
sleep deprivation
thinking
can
a
fuck you
tiny
up.
bit higher, but that's probably just because I'm a little greedy. I
You
probably
are.
could get away with 4 or 5 thousand. I was thinking like 10,000 just to really be safe, right?
That's $520,000 a year for
I know,
very
right?
little.
I'm gonna make so much money. Um,
Jesus Christ. All right. Well,
but
now we know what our where our priorities are.
hey, man,
uh
like,
yeah.
give me them sleep pills, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah,
I,
I guess. But I think that's about all the time we have left for this episode, right?
I think so. We got a decent time here,
Yeah, we're cutting it a little bit late. So, I've been incredibly influential,
and I'm highly successful.
and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.